Okay, I call the February 13th, 2020 Transportation and Transit Commission meeting to order. First item on the agenda, public appearances for non-agenda items. Anybody here for non-agenda items tonight? Okay, thanks. Approval of the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to look at the January minutes?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Number 4, report from the department. Bill.
We've got a public informational meeting coming up in March for Fish Hatchery Road. I'm just going to get this to you. gov/North Fish Hatchery Road construction. We've got a webpage that we've set up for the construction project that has various tabs on here for construction updates, construction plans, contact information, what we're responsible for, general information about the project that we're continuing to build. The schedule, as we get more detailed schedule, we'll have more information on that. We also have maps regarding various things like the overall construction, the phasing, what's going to be done, bike routes, alternate route maps, trying to get around the city through the construction or around the construction. So we've got, a host of information out there regarding the project itself that people can log into. One of the other things that we're looking for people to do is to sign up for Notify Me on the webpage, and anytime we send out a notice of something that's changed or an update, you can click to Notify Me, and you can get those notices through email or text messages about the project. So one of the first things that we have coming up here is our public informational meeting that we'll have at the Wyndham Hotel on March 12th from 5:30 to 7:30. It's just going to be an open house format. We'll have some information regarding the project kind of scrolling in the background on a PowerPoint, and then you can meet with the staff and the engineers at that meeting to discuss any concerns. We'll have the detours and all of our planning and what we're planning to do and schedules and stuff like that for that meeting. So we're gearing up for that coming up. Switching gears to any questions on this? No? So if anybody is going through here and said, hey, it would be nice to know this or that, if you got ideas or comments on our web pages and information that people might like to know about or you would like to know about, let me know about it, and we'll be sure to try to get those updated for everyone.
We have a meeting room at 12.
Yes, that's going to be
So
canceled.
we'll cancel that one.
And you're more than welcome to come to this one.
I ride on one of the buses, the 75. The people are interested in if Metro has any plans regarding routing based on both ends of that route in Fitchburg, so to speak, are going to be under construction.
So that's one of the things that we're still building into the website, is how the transit is going to be affected by the construction, where the bus stops are going to be, any delays in routing and things like that. So like the bike map, we'll have something up there for the Metro as well.
And you will send out notification to the guys that aren't here that meeting will be canceled.
Yes. Okay. All right. McKee Road, switching gears to that one, the state opened up their bids on Tuesday, and they were about 5.6% over the construction estimate. They're still planning on going forward with the project, so we'll be introducing some resolutions for a budget amendment coming up through the March or the first part of March.
Who was the apparent low bidder, Bill?
The apparent low bidder was Integrity Grading.
Okay, same
They're-
as Fish Hatchery Road?
They're
and
doing
Road.
Fish Hatchery Road and the McKee Road for, over by Verona
Yeah,
Road.
DOT. They're gonna be busy.
They're busy. Mhm. All right.
Any other questions? All right, agenda item number 5A is ordinance 2020-007, an ordinance to amend chapter 68, traffic, article 3, speed limits. And I'll refer back to Bill for some background on this.
All right, in the packet is a report regarding the speed limits for Sain Road, McCoy Road, and Seminole Highway. Starting out with Sain Road, that the area's experienced a lot of growth over the past 15 years with regard to development. Number of accesses have increased, intersections, conflicting turning movements, and the number of accidents has increased over the past 3 years as well in the areas where those developments have connected to the to Sain Road. There are some kind of a blind hill that's out there by the fire station. It's really designed for about 40 miles an hour. Posted speed limit is 45, and so you really don't have the great sight distance and visibility when you're coming into those areas where those intersections are with 9 Bark and Central Park Place. So in looking with the number of conflicts and the amount of traffic that is entering onto Sain Road, we took a look at the speed limits that were posted out there. And while it is posted at 45 miles an hour in the AM and PM peak times, we've noticed that, you know, the free flow speed out there with vehicles is typically between 35 and 40 miles an hour. So people are taking it upon themselves that they don't really feel safe driving that 45 miles an hour through that area, given the intersections that are along there. So in that area between East Sherrill Parkway and McCoy Road, we were recommending the speed limit be reduced to 35 miles an hour. But that leaves a 45 mile an hour zone on either side of that, and along McCoy Road or south of Lacey Road, or south of East Sherrill. When you get south of Irish Road down by Burn Road, it drops to 35 miles an hour. So in order to can be consistent with the speed limit along there, it was recommended to put the speed limit at 35 all the way through there. So you don't have a 35 to 45 to 35 to 45 mile an hour through that whole corridor. The speed limit on MM was recently reduced from 45 down to, or 45 and 50 down to 40 miles an hour in the area from Haight Road up to Rimrock Road. So it was consistent through there. It was done 2 years ago. So coming off of Rimrock Road or MM in that area there at 40 miles an hour, we felt that having a consistent speed limit of 40 miles an hour instead of going from 40 to 45 to 35 along McCoy, to have that consistent with the 35 mile or 40 mile an hour coming off of MM. So we're recommending that the speed limit along McCoy between MM and McCoy, or Sain Road, be reduced from 45 to 40. And then the speed limit from McCoy down to Irish Road would be, or is it Haight Farm Road? Burn would be 35 miles an hour through that entire stretch. I did want to put a caveat on that, is that the speed limits down by Burn Road when we did the studies last year showed that their 85th percentile or 85% of the speeds are 52 miles an hour down there. So you've got 85% of the people going over this posted speed limit in violation of it by over 17 miles an hour. And just posting the speed limit in that area is at 35, we're not seeing the compliance that is down there, or should be there for a posted speed limit. And people are driving it the way they feel is a comfortable speed limit.
Bill, where is Aurora Lane?
Aurora's the first block that's south of Lacey Road. You have the apartments by the Addison Apartments over here.
Okay,
It's just south of that.
so you said in here, when Sahin Road is reconstructed between Aurora Lane and McCoy, the road will incorporate design elements for, oh, okay, but will be posted at 35.
Yes. So in 2021, we're planning on reconstructing Sahin Road between Aurora and McCoy Road. And when we do that, we're going to narrow the roadway, implement medians out there with terraces and plantings, as well as roundabouts at select locations along there at intersections to reduce the speed limits in that area. All right. So I guess to,
Are there any driveway accesses that are of concern in that area?
driveway access,
Yeah.
in which area?
Along this, yeah, all the way down to Burn Road.
Yeah, the driveway, there are driveways along
Towards the south, right?
toward the south. It's a neighborhood. There's about, I think there's 12 to 14 driveways down in that area
Yeah.
that access onto onto that street.
Have
and
they
that-
been a
no.
problem for accidents?
No, we
Okay.
haven't seen any accidents down in that area.
Okay.
Traffic count, you've got about a 10,000 vehicle per day traffic count, right? That's taken on the north end, up there by McCoy, right?
Yes.
You don't have any numbers down by Burn, or are they similar?
No, the numbers down there are significantly lower. I don't have that information in front of me right now. I don't have access to it, but.
You can talk about the other one or one at a time?
I'd like to break it into two right now.
Okay, do we need to have a motion before we have official discussion on this?
Yes.
I move that we approve ordinance 2020-0-07 to amend chapter 68, article 3, speed limits.
I second.
So the map shows you want to go from 45 to 40 and then 45 to 35, all the way through that area. This is not an agenda item, is it, Darren, that anybody want to talk on? Oh,
Are you on for the?
are you
the-
Seminole or
for the
are you
speed
this
limit?
piece?
I'm on the Seminole speed.
Okay,
Speed, okay,
okay.
okay.
This is all as one motion, though,
Okay.
isn't it?
It's all one motion, yeah, so we
Yeah.
can
So
talk
we
about
should-
them both. So if we have any questions on this aspect.
All right.
Any other questions on the Sain Road and McCoy Road portion of the speed limit changes? So we can move on to the Seminole Highway discussion.
So I have a question before you start this, Bill. In
Mhm.
this, in your notes, you say Seminole Highway has requested a speed limit reduction, but, I mean, is it the residents along Seminole Highway or the businesses? I mean, the highway didn't request it, but,
Obviously.
yeah, but I didn't know who it was. Was
Ye-
it, who along Seminole Highway requested it?
It's been a variety of residents, businesses, bikers,
Okay.
pedestrians.
I was just wondering who it was, and I mean, like I said, I knew it
It's-
wasn't the highway, but I'm like, who is it?
Over the past 2 years, we've received quite a groundswell of residents wanting bikers, vehicles. Everybody along there pretty much has asked for a speed limit reduction, both north of McKee Road and south of McKee Road. So, I honestly, to the point of the residents down there on the south end, down by Wayland Road, I had thought that we had a count down there, but we had only taken the count closer to Lacey Road, and we don't actually have that information. I apologize for, that is something that we can get, and, well, I'll let you speak to your concerns, but I think that the part that's south of Lacey needs to be tabled for this point right now, so that we can take a closer look at
I would
that.
still like to speak to that,
Okay.
even though we're not,
Yeah.
we're not gonna make a decision.
Right, so, yeah,
I'm sorry, do I come over?
Yeah.
I just wanna be able to see.
So, but before she speaks, what is you did a speed study, what's
yes. We've been doing a speed study out on Seminole Highway. And we took some speed limits near Sub-Zero Parkway, and then south of Lacey, or south of McKee, we also took some north of Schuman to look at the speed limits in that area. And we've got counters out north of McKee Road right now, gathering data. And what we found was that we've got about 10,000 vehicles a day north of McKee traveling along Seminole Highway. The 85th percentile speed limits are close to the posted speed limit, 45 miles an hour. The posted speed limit is 40. The area south of Schuman Parkway, the 85th percentile is 49 miles an hour, and the posted speed limit is 50. So it's pretty consistent with, how people are driving out there. But what we are finding in those areas is there's a peak rush of cars coming out of Sub-Zero and coming out of the subdivision in the morning that I've seen a lot of people taking chances because there's not a lot of gaps in traffic to be able to enter and accelerate safely. So with that number of conflicts that we're having out there, for those times of the day, we're looking at, reducing the speed limit out there to give people a little bit more time to be able to get out there and enter traffic.
Plus with all the new development, the
With
church
all the
out
new,
there, and the
with all the new development, the
house and
church, the hop
all
house,
other
the
stuff that's
Sub-Zero.
going out there, too.
We've got 2 subdivisions coming in to the south of the church that's there.
Mhm.
So there's several hundred more homes coming into that area, all that are coming out onto that roadway. So
And the speed limit in the city of Madison, north of this point, is 25, right?
it's 25, yes.
Do you need this divided then into two, if you want to delay for study the Seminole Road, some of the Seminole Road aspects, or should we put that in our motion?
You can offer a substitute amendment to the ordinance that the council could take under advisement to change the ordinance when they take action to it. But that would have to be brought up by one of the council members. So as a commission, you can offer that ordinance change to them as a recommendation.
'Cause I was thinking, subject, that portion that you're interested in, subject to staff recommendation or something like that. Would that make sense?
Mhm.
Good. Does that make?
What do you mean, subject to
Like-
staff recommendations? I would just say that
Or-
we would amend the ordinance to say, we're deferring the recommendation for Seminole
okay.
Highway south of Lacey
Yeah.
Road.
That'd be good.
Just
Or-
pulling that part out of the ordinance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Can I make that a substitute amendment then?
I think I
Motion?
have to make it because I made the motion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right,
Because the person who
Basically-
makes the motion has
Oh,
to do
okay.
the amendment, and then the seconder has to accept it.
okay, sure.
Or else it would be a whole separate motion.
If you make the offer, I will accept.
Okay.
So just strike that sentence, south of Lacey Road?
Well, in the ordinance itself, which is different than that.
Oh, yeah.
That was just his report.
Yeah, so we are seeing, there is, north of Lacey Road, an increase in the number of accidents out there, near misses especially. But one of the things I also saw was, up by Dolly, was that there were a significant number of rear-end accidents up there. And I'm not sure exactly why, because I didn't actually pull the reports yet.
On Seminole Highway?
On Seminole Highway,
There's a bike
rear-end,
crossing there, isn't there?
northbound especially, near, and I'm wondering if it's due to bikes
Mhm.
crossing there.
Capital City Trail.
That people
Yeah,
will
just-
will
yeah.
quickly slam on their brakes to
Well, there's
avoid.
one south of Dolly and one north of Dolly.
Yeah, so I need to dig into that a little bit more, but again, if the speed limit is reduced out there and people drive that speed limit, they will have a little bit more time to get across if it's due to bikes, and then be able to enter traffic a little bit more safely. So then that brings to the point south of Lacey Road that we did do the study out there, and I just wanted to bring up the actual traffic count that we did out there. So with our new software, we can look at where we put the counters and what the speed limits are. And the specific one that we did is just to the south of Lacey Road out here. And what we found as one of the reports that our posted speed limit was 50, the 85th percentile was 54 miles an hour. During the time that we counted, there was 18,000 vehicles out there over a 5-day count, which averaged out to be about 3,600 cars a day. You'll see this one huge maximum speed
Wow.
limit out there.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got up that fast, that quickly, but it was shocking to see that. What we're finding is about 1 to 3% of the vehicles are going at least 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. And we can also break that down into time of day. So I can create this report by time of day that will tell me when the violators are happening. So we can see that, it says 50% of the vehicles were going over 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, but there's only 4 of them, Whereas if you come down to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 17 vehicles were going over the speed limit. So I can forward this information to the police department, and they know that, most of the vehicles are speeding during certain times of the day, and they
When's the
can go
best
out.
time to enforce?
When can we
should
go
we
out there and
avoid?
enforce? So I've been sharing the information with them, and as they get time available, they'll go out there and watch for vehicles, so. The information I thought I had down by Vroman, is it Vroman Road?
Yes.
Yes. For a speed study down there, I didn't have that actually. So that's the next location. We're gonna be putting that out there within the next week or so to get that information, because we have residents down there that there's a hill down there, and it's difficult to get out and see the vehicles coming. And that's why we have our residents here to request that.
Before Leslie speaks, any other questions from the commission members on that? For now, preliminary report? Not that you can't ask questions after Leslie, but just have her time to speak. Okay, go ahead, Leslie.
Okay, I'd like to mention just a note, it's when sub-zero gets out, that's when the miles per hour go up, right at the 2 o'clock when their shift gets up. Because I can sit in my living room and watch it happen. My name is Leslie Jorgensen. I live at 2325 South Seminole Highway.
Which is where?
That's
Can
at the
you-
corner of Roman Road and Seminole
The
Highway,
corner of
right
Rome.
at the end with the last house
Okay.
on Seminole, way south of Lacey Lake. I'm the de facto neighborhood representative for the South Seminole Highway Wayland Road neighborhood. We are a rural residential neighborhood, so there are several houses, a lot of houses out there on Seminole, on Wayland, behind us on Fitchburg Road, and then on Vroman Road. So it's kind of a square, and we're all of our backyards back up into the woods up in there. I'm here tonight to ask that the ordinance you are reviewing, which now you aren't, I guess, requiring the 50 mile an hour speed limit on South Seminole, south of Lacey, be denied or till further review, which I guess you've done. So on July 12th, 2018, that's 2018, I delivered to the city a neighborhood petition signed by 76% of my neighbors, asking for the speed limits to be lowered on South Seminole Highway, south of Lacey, and on Wayland Road. I'm just going to talk about South Seminole Highway because that's what you're discussing here tonight. On January 24th, after a speed forum with citizens, past Mayor Gonzalez emailed Patrick Marsh, Lisa Coleman, and Bill Balke, asking them to begin the process to determine if South Seminole and Wayland Road is at the appropriate speed limit.
Was that January 24th of 2019 or this year?
2019.
2019, okay, thank you.
And I'd never heard back from anyone. So in August of last year, I forwarded his email back to Bill and Patrick and Mike Bisbach, whom I've never met him, my alders, Tom Clowder and Janelle Rice, along with Mayor Richardson, our new mayor, asking when the study will be done. I also attached the 2018 neighborhood petition. Again, I didn't hear from anybody. So I thought maybe your committee could help me, and now Bill is telling me they can. Since the ordinance you are reviewing is just South Seminole, that's all I'm going to discuss here. Similar to the Sain Road at the new fire station, there's a small rise on South Seminole Highway in front of the Vroman Farm, which is the big farm on the hill, just north of Roman Road. So, okay. Causing a blind spot at the corner of South Seminole and Vroman Road. So this intersection also includes a bike crossing from the bike path on the east side of Seminole to Vroman Road on the west side. Very difficult for bikes to cross there because when they look north, they can't see any cars coming. And they're coming right now, well, at 56 miles an hour and 63 and 91, depending on, where you are in the road. You can't see any of that southbound traffic from this intersection. And just south of that intersection of Seminole and Vroman, there are 4 driveways, including mine at the end. And then there's a stop sign at Wayland Road. So having the speed limit at 50 miles an hour is too dangerous when we're all trying to turn into our driveways, when traffic is trying to get out on Vroman Road, and when the school buses are dropping off children next door. We only have one house where there are actually school children age right now. And so we would like the speed limit just north of Roman Road, just before you come to that rise in the road, all the way down to Wayland Road, lowered. And we'd like it at 35, just like it'll be north of Lacey Road. Now, I understand you have only 3 driveways from Lacey Road to almost to the Vroman Farm, and that obviously can be much faster. People aren't going to drive 35 in that area. But certainly, once you hit that rise right at the Vroman Farm driveway, that should be turned into 35, maybe 40. I mean, I don't know who determines the speed limit, but it has to be lower than 50 because you do have people going 91. You do have people going 63. And we're right at the end. And so people don't put on their brakes till right at not even at our driveway, beyond our driveway to stop at the stop sign. So it's been very dangerous. I mean, we pump our brakes to let people know when we put on our right turn signal to turn into our driveway, we're putting it on at Vroman Road because we want them to know we're not going down to Wayland Road to turn right like you are coming behind me. And they're riding our butt all the way. And I even put my right tires into the kind of the dirt on the edge of the road so they know I'm not going to drive this way all the way to Wayland Road. So that's really what we're looking for help with. And it sounds like Bill's going to do another study down there, so I'm looking forward to getting those numbers. And then I can go back to my neighborhood, all the people that have signed this almost 2 years ago, asking for help down there. So we're hoping we can get some help down in our neighborhood and lower the speed limit. It's only going to get busier, especially now that you're doing that to Fish. We were living with a lot of traffic because of Verona Road. Now that that's open, the numbers have gone down. We've seen it. But it'll go up now with Fish Hatchery going to be worked on. Then we'll turn into that south side because you can get off on Seminole, off the belt line. That really, determines how much traffic makes it down to our area.
From the east,
So-
but not from the west.
Not from the west, that's correct, right. Yeah, so.
Is there a right turn lane at Foreman, for Foreman? No.
No.
would that be a factor in solving any problems that may be existing?
It wouldn't help the driveways.
It wouldn't help us, yeah.
Okay,
People going on Roman Road, but it wouldn't help the driveways.
You know, the best thing would be if you shaved down the hill right in front of the Vroman farm, and then you'd have a perfect site. But then again, that'd make people go faster, because they'd see all the way down to Whalen Road, so, anyway. I'm hoping you can help us, and it sounds like Bill is going to be able to do that for us. I'm just not sure what the next step is, if we need to.
So is this Roman that comes in just a little ways north of Wayland?
Yes, it's that tiny road. Mm-hmm. And so all
And
the people that.
Fitchburg Road comes off of that.
Correct. Now, people that are on Whalen Road, they would like their speed limit lowered, but that's not discussion for tonight. But all of those people in that block, and people on Whalen Road, east to Muchler Road, and people all the way to the beginning of town of Verona on Whalen Road, have all signed this petition. So everybody wants it lowered down there, that lives down there and drives this all the time, so. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know when I was studying the packet before tonight, that one of my concerns I was gonna bring up was south of Lacey Road where the Badger State Trail crosses Seminole Highway. That's only probably, I don't know, like a quarter mile south of Lacey Road. But I'd forgotten about the crossing at Vroman Road, that there is an access to the trail there as well. So, you know, between the two of those, it might make, I think it does make sense to consider a lower speed limit on that portion of Seminole as well, in my opinion. And for the reasons that Leslie specified as well.
All right.
Just for reference, is the speed limit on Wayland right at that, I'm trying to remember if it's 50 or is it 40 or 45 or from the corner on?
50.
It's 50, okay.
It's from Seminole, I'm sorry, from Fish down to Muchler, it's 40. And at Muchler going west, it goes to 50, all the way to the town of Verona, which goes to 45,
Okay.
so.
Have you guys looked at Wayland at all, Bill, or not? Okay.
I could bring that up here.
So I have sort of a question about this ordinance. It doesn't really make much sense to me.
Okay.
It doesn't really say. It says an ordinance amending chapter 68, Article 3, Division 4, speed limits by deleting a section and amending a section, but it doesn't ever say, you know, it says where, but it doesn't ever say what it's changing it to.
Right.
Is there some part of the ordinance, or a part of that article, 68 article, or chapter 68, Article 3, Dimension 4, or Division 4, that somewhere says?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so you just
I
exerted
did not
a
put that
portion
in
of the thing, okay.
of the ordinance. So, yeah.
Because to me, it really didn't make sense. We're deleting some of these, we're removing some of these, but what does the ordinance say we're changing them to? It doesn't ever mention speed limits in here.
Yep.
City ordinance.
Let me just get you there real quick here, and
Okay.
I can show you. So, within each section, I just did not put the
top
the
part.
title of what the ordinance was. So amending 68-178 is the 50-mile-an-hour ordinances.
Okay, so 68-178, okay, is where it's 50 miles an hour, so by adding number 10, goes to 50 miles an hour in here?
Yes,
Or you're deleting that
for,
by deleting 10? And then amending 10.
so, yeah, I'm
Okay,
amending.
So 178 is saying going to what speed limit?
178, sorry.
Isn't it the part we're striking?
178 is changing to 50 mile an hour speed limit. And
180 is, okay, you're deleting 179 and 180. What is 179 and 180 then?
179 is the 45 mile per hour.
Deleting 5 and 7, which is Seminole Highway from Whalen to Lacey. So that's the one, 17810 is the portion that we are not looking at this point in time.
Yes.
Okay. So then 181 is what?
181 is the 35 mile an hour speed limit.
181 is 35?
Yep.
35, okay.
Yep.
I get it. So now we're taking Seminole Highway from Lacey to Sentinel Pass to 35. 180 is changing. Created to read McCoy Road in its entire length. That one's 40. 178, 160, so section 5 is the part that we're not looking at, right? Section 5, section 168-17810, that's the part we're tabling or deferring or,
From
That
Wayland
right
to
there, right?
Schumann. Yeah, we would amend that instead of saying from Wayland to Lacey, Wayland to Lacey Road, we would,
yeah, Wayland to Lacey is what you have, and that's the part that
Right.
we're not considering tonight
Correct.
until you get further information on a speed study and speed volumes.
yes.
Okay. So I will change my motion to approve this ordinance except for section 5, which will be deferred until further evaluation.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, you.
I concur.
you-
Seconding it?
You
Makes
okay. I think it's a good idea on Seminole Highway, especially when it's 25 in the city of Madison, to go down to 35.
That was always an abrupt change.
It was,
From
yeah, there's a little piece of transition in there right now,
Yeah,
but then you can avoid that whole part of it too, and just go down to 35. And there is so much development between Lacey and McKee with all the things going on there, it's,
Plus the schools.
yeah.
mhm.
So I guess I think that's a good idea. South of Lacey, you realize there are some issues, but the way the road is designed, with that road design and how it is, you're just gonna have tons of violation, but I know we're not discussing that at this point in time, so I'll wait and see what the data puts out.
So I guess I'm surprised that was in the proposed ordinance south of Lacey to Wayland, if it was remaining at 50 this came from the council, right? That they were recommending to keep it at 50 miles an hour, that why was that? It looks like it's being changed.
Well, it
but
was
it's-
changed to Lacey from Schumann.
Yeah, there's several ordinances that are tied to the speed limit, so when you change one, you have to change the descriptions of the other ones as well. So when you change the limits on the 35 mile an hour, part of the 50 was tied into it, so you have to amend the 50 to reflect where the transition would be.
Okay.
Is there any guidance as to how small a speed limit section can be at all, and either by the state or some other? 'Cause I'm always, you know,
With the state, we're tied to certain speed limits by statute as to how low you can go with speed limits
On state roads.
on state roads and on local roads as well. So if they're classified a certain way, of a
Okay.
collector or arterial,
it's the discretion of the municipality or
it is.
other local unit. Okay.
There is no hard fact as to, it has to be like more than a quarter mile or more than before you can change it. But consistency is an important thing for drivers, like when he was talking about on Seminole, you don't wanna go high, low, all in different areas. It just, it's confusing for the drivers and
Yeah.
pedestrians and bicycles and everything else.
Does the school on Lacey affect this at all?
Well, Lacey,
There's two
east
schools
of
there.
Seminole Highway is
35.
35 already.
Mhm.
And I think that probably has a lot to do with the school, because the first part of that is hard to drive 35. When I turn around that corner, I was going down like, ooh, I better slow down here. But it is hard, but it probably will be easier if Seminole Highway is
Yeah.
35 down there.
That's why I brought it
When
up,
you turn,
just
but I
to make it
probably was
consistent.
reduced, I would guess, because of
With
the
the
school
school
and
would
all the
definitely-
development there
Homes
too.
that are gonna go in there, yeah.
It might not even hurt to put up, is there any crossing school children type of sign?
On Lacey Road?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
don't-
have those.
Not all that many of them cross Lacey though, do they?
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's not much on the south side of
Yeah.
Lacey.
the sign is more important than,
Mhm.
and I think the sign is more symbolic, yeah, but
Maybe
important.
children present, but not
Yeah.
children crossing.
So that might be a consideration to, what the signage is relating
On
to
Lacey
school
Road?
children.
Yeah, we've got 20 mile an hour when children are present signs. We have the flashers that are there. We also have
Where they
30
do cross.
where they do cross. And then we
Right.
also have the 35 mile an hour changeable message or the radar sign that we have there too. So
Yeah.
we've got a lot of signs up there.
Okay. I don't go there that often, so
Mhm.
I have to think of what the signs are that I've seen once every 3 months, type of.
So, by taking that out, like we have recommended, so this would be reconsidered at another time, another meeting then?
Yes.
Portion from-
Wouldn't it have to
With
be?
more data, more
Yes.
input, or,
Yes.
okay.
But it would have to be introduced by a council member, wouldn't it?
The ordinance?
Yeah.
As a
Is it
separate
something at this
ordinance,
level?
probably.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
which Tom, I'm sure you wouldn't mind.
Mhm.
They would need to refer that back to us.
Right.
Any more questions or discussion then? So we have an amended ordinance up for vote.
Substitute amendment.
Substitute amendment, is that what we call it?
We have to vote first on the substitute,
On the substitute,
And the
yes.
substitute?
Yes.
and then we vote on the regular.
Now,
Yes.
there is, I think there is a conflict, because by not striking that, it'll say Seminole Highway from Wayland to Schuman, correct? So we're not, if that's not modified, and yet Schuman is already within the area that's gonna be down, because
Mhm.
that's up by the pool up there, I think, right? You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
The pool's north of Lacey.
Yeah. Yeah, but the, Schuman is just a few
Oh,
blocks
yeah.
south of McKee.
Yeah,
So if we don't change that wording on number 5, it'll still say that Seminole Highway from Wayland to Schuman Drive. So there'll be a conflict because we're identifying the same area twice.
Right. yeah, 5 and 6 really have to be done together, yeah.
Yeah, I would have to change,
Am I making
68.
sense
I
here?
would- I'd have to amend sections, or section 6, amend this ordinance, Seminole Highway from Lacey Road to the northern tracks.
Yeah.
Instead of deleting it.
And 180, section 68, 180 is the 35 mile an hour, right?
180 is the 40
40.
miles per
40.
hour.
40. Oh,
So I still want to delete the 40 mile an hour speed limit. But the 50 mile an hour speed limit,
I think we're in agreement with what we want to do, we're just,
We're
it's
just-
confusing
we're
here
yeah.
because of not having like 178 is this, if 30 this one and this one, and reading through it, it's, you need to take a marker and highlight what these are.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
have, I understand what the intent of the ordinance is,
Yeah,
that we're going to study the area south of Lacey Road, but we want to enact an ordinance of 35 miles an hour north of Lacey Road to the city limits.
Yeah,
And I
that's
can
perfect.
I can reflect
direct
that,
staff to make
reflect
sure the
that
ordinance
language.
reflects
Yes.
those
Yeah,
intent.
Yeah, just
Yes.
all
Put that
Seminole north
taskmaster
of
hat
Lacey.
on.
Right,
Yeah, and then strike through everything else that's, has Seminole in it.
yes, I will do that.
So can we vote on the amendment as is then, that Kim proposed? Or do we need to change that, do you think? Are we okay with?
I think if you made a motion, I hate to make
Yeah,
another,
okay,
you
that's
know,
fine.
to move that, direct staff to create the ordinance to reflect the 35 mile an hour speed limit north of Lacey Road, to make those changes to the ordinances as a recommendation.
I will accept that amendment to my motion.
Does the word consistent help you?
Consistent?
Yeah, I mean, make the changes consistent.
Yes, that's,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's simple, that's
Yeah.
clean, that's,
Well, it never hurts to be
Yeah.
precise.
no, I mean, just the way Bill said it. So.
Sure.
So do you accept the second to that motion? You made the second, right?
I did.
Troy did,
Oh.
yeah.
I did. Yeah, so it's fine. We can throw in the word consistent. That'll be good.
all right.
Okay,
And you second?
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And then we need to vote on the original ordinance? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the ordinance 2020-007
As amended.
as amended?
I
Sure.
second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So agenda 5B is the review of the final draft of the comprehensive development plan update, the transportation section. And I'll refer back to Bill for some background on that.
All right. In the packet is the revised, the comments that had been made at the last Transportation or Transit and Transportation Committee. The planning department did take those under consideration and made some changes to those, as you were recommended. One of the maps that changed here, we were trying to identify areas that, where new roadways were going to be needed, And a lot of the neighborhood plans already had those future roadway networks implemented into those. So instead of, drawing those on this map, we just put in there that these hatched out areas are already reflected.
Approved neighborhood
Approved,
plans?
approved neighborhood plans are reflective of those changes. So within there, they do show future road layout networks and things like that. So instead of, adding on future roadways in the next 10 years, those plans have already been approved and are part of this plan. So that was their recommended changes to this for the map. They did include some more language, a little bit stronger language regarding the inclusion of the electric vehicles, charging stations throughout the community. They're going to be putting forward an ordinance or a policy to include those, some kind of a policy going forward in the plan for including more of those throughout the community as part of the development as they occur.
Electric scooters have caused a mild amount of chaos on the communities they've been introduced because the ordinances weren't right. Is that something that's been considered in Fitchburg?
When they look at how the policy or ordinance is going to change throughout the community, they'll be looking at model ordinances as well. What
Okay.
works, what doesn't work.
Okay.
I think they removed the sections regarding light rail, or the, not light rail, but just the rail station that was in the, specific to the Lacey Road interchange area. That's probably not going to be a possibility.
I thought I did still see a train station in here.
And an airport too. I think there was rail.
It was in the goals and objectives, I think, at
policies.
the end, or policies. Let me find it.
Well, there's policy 2.3.5 that refers to passenger use of the Fitchburg, Oregon Rail Corridor.
They did take it out of the narrative with the rail
Okay.
in the upper part, but maybe it got missed in that recommendations part. Unless it's still a viable option. There is some more language and table regarding the ride-sharing services that are trying to be provided, so there's a whole new section that got introduced here for that. Identifying what services are available currently. But we're still working on this.
What's the schedule for this now, Bill?
It's on the website. I can quickly look if you'd
I
like.
think we were to talk about it at the next meeting. At the last plan commission, we rejected some changes to it, which basically was, had to do with the fact that it currently is set up so that the council and the planning commission have to agree. And the council wanted to have it so that the council could make changes regardless of the commission. Our point was that the council is rooted in politics and the commission is rooted in policy. And the council has changed things from year to year to year, depending on who's in office. So that was the one hang-up, so I don't know if that's been resolved, or if that gets resolved, then it could be the next meeting that this gets the final stamp of approval.
Mhm. So coming up, the public hearing is scheduled for March 10th. And then there'll be, it's within the 30-day public comment period right now. So public comment is being accepted on the plan. There's a plan out in the breezeway out there for people to take a look at. And it's online as well.
The train station is listed in policy 1.1.2, and it just says encourage transit-oriented developments, TODs, that include a train station and intermodal transfer points as prominent neighborhood features. So that was the only place that I had seen the train station still mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they did a nice job. I thought it
I think,
summarized things well, and, you know, it has enough detail in there to give guidance and things without being so rigid and stringent that if something does have to change, you don't have the flexibility to do that, so. I thought it was well written. I thought has a lot of good ideas in it.
I think Wade and Sonia did a good job. I would have liked to have seen a little more on park and rides on the borders, the southern borders, and I think policy 353 says explore the development of park and ride lots. Whereas I would have rather have seen it just say develop park and ride lots. But I think we're fine with what we have here. It's at least, it's in there.
I think that's part of the flexibility too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting once this is passed as to what the priority is for developing these policies and developing all of the things that are in this, as to which one you want to tackle first. And so
I think they're vague enough or general enough. It's funny because it's a comprehensive plan, but it's also very general and it tries to be overarching plan for everything.
mhm.
For policy 113, I was thinking not just for future roadways, but to maximize multimodal approaches to the same right-of-way somehow.
113?
That's
One
official mapping?
is a tool.
Yeah.
What did you want it to, what were you thinking?
To enhance the use, not just view it as a roadway right-of-way, but a transportation right-of-way. You know, to look at it, maybe by doing that, you may make if you make the right-of-way 3 feet wider, maybe that could then accommodate
So.
bicycle usage, so to speak.
Okay, well, yeah.
Philip-
Maybe you could say to ensure the proper development of future transportation corridors,
Yes,
rather
yeah,
than just roadways.
yeah, something like that would
Be a
really,
little bit more comprehensive.
yeah.
It's a good suggestion.
Yeah, overall, I think there was some good suggestions in the plan. It's always tricky to plan out 10 years, what's gonna be within that 10-year period, but.
I was surprised the airport still made the cut.
Yeah.
Town was, well, that because of Epic.
The Fitchburg
You know.
International.
Yeah, FIA.
And he's not talking about a little, like private airstrip like you have in Wanakee or something. He wants,
Yeah, there's not room to put a air carrier airport in Fitchburg. You need so much land.
All right. Yeah, this wasn't an item for motion or
Just discussion.
it's a discussion item. If you've got more comments, public comments are being accepted through the planning department. And if you want to forward them to me, I can get them to them as well.
Is there a final deadline then for changes to the plan then after the public comment period? Is that this was kind of presented to, it seemed like as like the final draft, I guess, but there still could be changes to it. Is that?
Right,
Yeah.
the council will take action on it, I think, on March 10th, is my understanding. That's when the public hearing is, and they'll take action on any items that are proposed to be changed in the plan itself.
Okay, so the public hearing is before the council meeting, then, okay,
Yeah.
right.
And the goal had been to do it before Election Day, since the very beginning.
That's right, yeah, that's true. Yeah, It's coming up
Which
fast.
the last one took 2 years.
Mhm.
I think not Bill, I think Wade and Sonia did a great job though, because they eliminated a lot of the stuff and referred you to other documents. So like the neighborhood plans and things like that, and the bike bed plan.
Yep, this one reads like a plan, the other one read like a template.
It encourages a lot of transit kind of items to be considered in future planning, which, you know, is always, it's a good idea, but it's very, very expensive. So the budget implications from these things is where the real struggle is gonna be when they put their
Yeah.
priorities together.
And that was back to my thing, by buying land now before it becomes a major transportation corridor,
Yeah.
you can buy land cheaper.
Well, by officially mapping, they can, yeah, you don't really buy it, but it's defined there.
That's a limitation few visionaries have, is actually having to pay for it.
Yeah, my wife is one of those.
Any other questions for Bill or comments?
No. I'm from the senior center, I'm the director, so I just, want to get more engaged in this and build more instance on our friends community. We just have a lot of concerns with the new apartment opening up on Fitchburg with 160 units and folks not being able to get down to the center. Because I can't expand any transportation anymore. I begged and met with them, and there's really no more money or hours that they can allocate to us, so this is definitely a priority of our commission this year to follow through on making sure we have additional transportation somehow. There's some plans in the works, so just wanted to be a part of the discussion.
That's the new senior project on the west side of Fish Hatch?
By the golf course?
So, golf course, okay, and getting seniors from there to here, to the seniors, okay.
We have a county bus now, but Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're averaging about 15 to 16 people from Lake Road to off of Rowan Road, Williamsburg Way, all the way down Wayland. So the route is over 2 hours with the county bus, so it's split in two. So either people have to wait, to be picked up, and then they go home. People are waiting an hour to go home, and so that's just what we have now. And when we open this apartment building, I think it's slated to open May 1st. I just have concerns about more people hopefully wanting, I mean, I welcome them to come to the center, but how we're going to figure out how they can get there in a reasonable amount of time. So,
So you would like to put a priority on policy 348, which is provide transportation options which will be available to the city's senior residents in the most cost-effective manner.
yeah, that's been my priority for about 20 years, so. Maybe we can have that out.
Maybe we should put that in double size font and bold.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? If not, we'll move on to announcements. Do we have anything, now you already mentioned the next meeting is,
No, that's the
Gonna
March
be-
meeting.
the March
canceled.
meeting will be canceled because there's a
Yeah, public information.
public information session for that, okay. So the next tentative meeting for TTC would probably be April then, unless
no, we
something
got-
special comes up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Are there any other announcements? If not, number 7, adjournment, when someone make a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.